Nobody tells you the truth about money when you're young. And by the time you're 40, you've already spent 2 decades learning it the hard way. This video isn't about getting rich quick. It isn't about some system or some hack that's going to turn everything around by next Tuesday. This is about the stuff I genuinely wish someone had sat me down and told me before I hit 40. The real things, the uncomfortable things, the things most people already know deep down but haven't said out loud yet. Because here's what I've noticed. A lot of men my age are walking around with a version of their finances in their head that doesn't quite match reality. Not because they're stupid, not because they don't care, but because looking at the real version is painful, and the brain will do almost anything to avoid pain. So it tells you things are fine, it tells you you'll sort it next month. It tells you everyone's in the same boat, so it probably doesn't matter. And every time you believe that story, the hole gets a little bit deeper. No one's coming to save you. All right, the first one. And I'm going to say it plainly because I think it needs to be said plainly. Most of us, and I include myself in this, spent a significant portion of our 20s and 30s half waiting. Waiting for the pay rise that would change things. Waiting for the right moment to start saving. Waiting for something to shift, something external, something that would make the money situation easier without us having to do anything too uncomfortable. Maybe it was a promotion that kept almost happening. Maybe it was a side project that was nearly ready. Maybe it was just a vague sense that things would eventually sort themselves out because they had to, right? And here's the thing. That's not laziness. That's not stupidity. That is what financial stress does to a person. It narrows your thinking. It makes the problem feel so big that starting feels pointless. So you wait. And waiting feels safer than trying and failing. But no one's coming. There is no pay rise large enough to fix a broken relationship with money. There's no lucky break that replaces a plan. The only variable in your financial future that you have any real control over is you. What you learn, what you do, what you decide to stop tolerating. Now look, that's not a motivational line. That's just how it works. The shift here is simple to say and genuinely hard to do. You have to become the plan, not part of the plan. Not someone who contributes to the plan when things ease up a bit. The plan. Because if you're not, there isn't one. So number 2, you need to invest in yourself. Investing in yourself returns more than any stock. And this is the one I wish someone had hammered into me earlier. Most of us were never taught to think of ourselves as assets. We were taught to spend money on things, on stuff, on experiences, on keeping up. And if there's anything left over, maybe save a bit. And if there's anything left after that, which there usually wasn't, maybe invest it somewhere. Nobody said the highest returning investment available to you is your own earning power. Think about it practically. If you spend £200 on a course, a skill, qualification, or a piece of software that lets you do something that you couldn't do before, something you can charge for or used to earn differently, that £200 has the potential to return many times over. Not in a get-rich-quick way. In a slow compounding, your life is genuinely different in 3 years' way. Contrast that with £200 spent on things that depreciate the moment you buy them, which is what most of us spend our money on, right? So the question to ask yourself is, what am I actually getting better at right now? What skill do I have today that I didn't have 12 months ago? What would I be worth on the open market if I had to start again tomorrow? If the answer's uncomfortable, good. Uncomfortable is information. Use it. So number 3, debt isn't just financial, it's psychological. This is the one I think is most under-talked about. When most people talk about debt, they talk about the numbers, the interest rate, the balance, the monthly payment. Now, yeah, all of that matters. But what doesn't get said enough is about what debt does to your head. So if you're carrying debt, especially debt you don't talk about, debt you avoid looking at, debt that just sits there in the background of every financial decision you make, it's exhausting. It's a low-level hum of stress that never fully switches off. It affects your sleep, it affects your mood, it affects the way you show up for people around you. And again, this is normal. It's not a character flaw. The majority of people in their 40s in this country are carrying some version of this quietly. They're just not talking about it. They're not talking about it at work. They're not bringing it up with friends. They're managing it privately and hoping it doesn't become visible. So the problem with carrying it quietly is that silence keeps it exactly where it is. You can't make a decision about something you won't look at. You can't build a strategy around a number that you've been avoiding for 3 years. So name it. Actually write it down. Actually say the number out loud, even just to yourself. It's the first act of control that you have over it. It doesn't make the debt disappear, but it moves it from a vague, shapeless dread into an actual problem with an actual size. And actual problems with actual sizes can be worked on. So look, drop a comment down below if this one hit home. So number 4, you can't fix what you won't face. This is the one that ties everything back together. How many times have you not checked your bank account because you didn't want to know? How many times have you gone through a checkout and hoped rather than know? How many times have you had a rough idea of where you are financially, but deliberately kept it rough because the precise version felt too real? If the answer is more than once, welcome to being human. Avoidance is not a moral failing. Avoidance is what the brain does when it decides that the pain of knowing is worse than the pain of not knowing. It's a survival mechanism. It kept you from having to feel the full weight of the situation every single day. But here's the cost of it. Every day you don't know exactly where you are is a day you can't make a real decision. Every month the numbers stay vague. There's a month nothing changes. Avoidance doesn't protect you from the problem. It just means the problem grows in the dark while you're looking the other way. So the first step, the only first step really, is to know your number, your actual number. What's coming in, what's going out, what's owed, what's saved. Even if the last one is zero. Now look, you don't need a financial advisor for this. You don't need an app or a spreadsheet or a system. You need 20 minutes and the willingness to look at it honestly. Because when you know where you are, you can start to build a plan from that exact spot. Not from where you wish you were, not from where you expected to be by now, but from where you actually are today. If you're lying to yourself, if you're telling yourself it's probably fine, it'll sort itself out, you'll deal with it when things ease up, understand that that version of the story is the thing that keeps you in the hole, not the debt, not the income, the story. By the way, if this video is doing anything for you at all, just hit that like button. So last one, and I want to be straight with you because I think it needs to land. Every month you delay dealing with your finances, the gap between where you are and where you need to be gets wider. Not dramatically, not in a way you necessarily notice week to week, but compounding works both ways. It builds wealth when you're investing, and it builds debt and missed opportunity when you're not. The "I'll sort it next month" pattern is one of the most expensive decisions most people never realize they're making, because next month becomes next year, and next year becomes, I can't believe I'm still in this position. Now, I'm not saying that to make you feel worse. I'm saying it because the urgency is real, and the financial content that tells you to take your time, go easy on yourself, there's no rush. That content isn't doing you any favors. There is a rush. Not a panic rush, not a make bad decisions quickly rush, but a quiet, determined, start today, not next Monday kind of urgency that comes from understanding that the time is the one resource you genuinely cannot get back. So the good news, and there is good news, is that starting today, even with something small, even with just sitting down and writing your numbers out for the first time, it breaks the pattern, it interrupts the loop, and it changes the direction, even if it doesn't immediately change the destination. One honest look today is worth a year of planning you'd never start. So tell me in the comments, what's the one thing you've been putting off dealing with financially? You don't have to share specifics. Even just acknowledging it in writing does something. So the most important thing I want to leave you with today, everything in this video comes back to one thing. You can't get to where you're going if you don't know where you are. If you get in your car and you want to drive somewhere you've never been, the sat-nav needs two things: where you're going and where you are right now. And if you lie to it about where you are, if you put a starting point that makes you feel better but isn't accurate, it'll give you directions to the wrong place every time. So your finances work exactly the same way. The plan only works if the starting point is honest. Not the starting point you wish you had, not the one you expected to have by now, the actual one, the real number, the honest answer to the question, where am I right now? Because when you know that, really know it, not roughly, not approximately, not it's probably around, that's when the plan becomes possible. That's when you stop reacting and start deciding. That's when the hole stops getting deeper and starts getting shallower. This is the work, not the stocks, not the side hustles, not the passive income. The work is being honest with yourself about where you are and then deciding what you're going to do about it one step at a time. If you're in it, if this video landed for you, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe, because this channel is going to keep having this conversation honestly and without filters.